Starting with the warmest words, I want to wish you, my dear ones, happiness, love, and prosperity, as if you were the closest people in my life. If you have just a few seconds to spare, please subscribe to my channel. It means so much to me, and it will only take a moment for you. I want to share with you a story that changed me forever. A story of pain, betrayal, and loss, but also one of rebirth, hope, and discovering the inner strength for a new beginning. Now, I will tell you everything as it happened, starting from that most terrifying moment when it seemed as though the world had crumbled beneath my feet. I returned home earlier than expected, holding an expensive bottle of wine, hoping to create an evening filled with romance and the warmth of memories from those days when everything was so simple and beautiful. But as soon as I stepped over the threshold of our home, something immediately felt off. The silence was taut, like the calm before a storm, and a strange scent of unfamiliar perfume lingered in the air. At first, I couldn't understand where that barely perceptible laughter mixed with intermittent breathing was coming from. A sound that made my heart pound in my chest. Every step on the cold parquet echoed with my anxiety, and every shadow flitting in the corners seemed to portend something dreadful. When I approached the bedroom, my hand, trembling with apprehension, slowly reached for the doorknob. In that moment, as if in slow motion, a scene unfolded before my eyes that would forever alter my world. On the sheets, once pure and carefully chosen on my wedding day, lay 3 bodies intertwined, as if this were the final, ominous performance staged by fate. My husband, the man to whom I had entrusted my very soul, lay there, his eyes filled with a cold detachment, meeting my gaze. And in that silent moment, I realized that everything I once believed to be eternal had crumbled into dust. Next to him was a red-haired woman, her fiery locks and crimson nails digging into his back, etching an unforgettable pattern of pain on his skin. While another woman, with deep dark eyes and a laughing smirk, seemed lost in her own frivolity, oblivious to the fact that I stood in the doorway, stripped of all hope. The shattered wine that had slipped from my hands, like a symbol of dreams destroyed, resounded with a crunch that pierced my chest, as if invisible arrows had struck every fibre of my being. Time seemed to stand still, and I, frozen in the doorway, could not believe my eyes. A quiet, relentless inner voice whispered, "Why, how could this happen?" Battling a reality in which every detail, from the creak of the bed to the scent of unfamiliar perfume, echoed the lost love I once knew. My mind oscillated between past and present. I remembered how, with trembling anticipation, I had chosen the sheets for our first home, how I had dreamed of an ideal family where every second was filled with tenderness and understanding. And now, against the backdrop of this horror, all those memories appeared as mere ghosts, deceptively beautiful illusions that could not save me from the agony of betrayal. Inside, a quiet yet unyielding dialogue began. How could you have missed the signs? All those little details that once seemed insignificant, the late phone calls, the fleeting glances, the unfamiliar scents. Now they have taken on a sinister meaning. Perhaps I believed too blindly in our promises, in our bond that once seemed unbreakable. Every thought, every memory, shattered the fragile, fragmented reflection of our past, forcing me to doubt everything that I once held sacred. My thoughts drifted back to the time when our relationship was just beginning. Warm summer evenings, when we met at an art exhibition, and the look in his eyes, filled with genuine tenderness, made my heart flutter. We sat at cozy tables in a little cafe, where time seemed to stand still, and every word spoken with emotion promised eternity. I remember the first gentle touch of his hand, the way we laughed until we cried, and how it felt as though the whole world belonged to us. Yet, looking back now, I realize that behind that idyll were the first subtle warnings, the precursors to the coming storm. Starting with minor misunderstandings, forgotten promises, barely noticeable changes in his tone, a slight shadow of unspoken things in his eyes. Everything gradually transformed into the bitter realization that something was brewing behind the walls of our home, something I could not stop. One evening, as the rain tapped against the windows and the soft glow of a lamp warmed a corner of our living room, I noticed him distracted by a phone call, his companion's voice so soft and intimate that I felt a chill run down my spine. Why is he always so evasive? I thought, trying to convince myself that it was just work and nothing more. But with each passing day, those small details became more evident, as if an invisible hand was drawing a sign of betrayal on our walls, warning me of the impending collapse. I sought solace in everyday tasks, in long walks through the nighttime city where the cool evening air mingled with the scent of rain and wet asphalt. Yet inside me a growing sense of unease persisted, as if I could hear the rustling of leaves whispering someone's secrets, foretelling disaster. Then came that fateful day when I again returned home earlier than usual, hoping to create for us a special evening to rekindle the spark that once illuminated our hearts. The wine, chosen with such care, symbolized my efforts, my belief in us. But the door I opened with hope turned into a nightmare that made my head spin. What I saw, as if tearing apart the very fibers of my existence, became an unbearable truth. My husband, the man to whom I had given everything, lay in the embrace of two women, each representing a different facet of betrayal. The red-haired woman, her nails sinking into his back and leaving marks of pain, and the brunette, as if caught in a frenzy of madness, laughing as she caressed his neck, oblivious to my presence. In that moment, I felt everything inside me shatter. Each beat of my heart foreshadowed an end, and the shattered wine, moaning under the blows of fate, reminded me that even the most precious efforts cannot stop the inevitable. Through the pain and fury, I heard echoing in my head the questions, why? How could you let this happen? Yet no answers came. I felt the world around me transform into an illusion, where every detail screamed that everything I once considered eternal was nothing more than a fleeting fantasy. The inner cry of pain mingled with the cold realization of betrayal, and every memory of happier days turned into a bitter irony of lost innocence. My body, as if disconnected from my mind, could not believe that I had become a prisoner of my own illusions, that my life was an endless series of shattered hopes and betrayed dreams. I remember, trembling with fear and pain, retreating to the corner of the bathroom where the cold tiles beneath my feet offered only fleeting comfort. In the mirror's reflection, I saw a worn, anguished face that bore not only the marks of physical pain, but an open, boundless wound of the soul. Tears streamed down my cheeks, leaving salty traces of loss on my skin, and that quiet, relentless inner voice repeated, "You deserve more. You are strong. Do not let this pain define you." But how could I believe those words when the very essence of love had been shattered by betrayal, and every touch, every glance, served as a reminder that happiness had become an unattainable dream? During those long hours of solitude, when the darkness of night merged with the cold reality of morning, I searched for answers in everything around me, recalling our early dates, when every word spoken with love seemed like a promise of eternal devotion. I tried to piece together the fragments of my lost faith. I remembered warm evenings by the river when we sat on an old bench talking about a future full of hope and bright plans, and every star twinkling in the night sky became a symbol of our dream. But now those memories turned bitter, because behind every happy moment lurked a shadow of doubt, a premonition that everything could change in an instant when a hand, once so trustworthy, became a shard of betrayal. My internal dialogues became both my salvation and my torment. I heard a quiet, almost imperceptible voice inside me saying, "You must find the strength within yourself to endure this. Embrace your pain, but do not let it consume you." Those words, like a faint glimmer of light in endless darkness, offered hope even as every fibre of my being screamed in agony and disappointment. Days melted into nights, and nights into an unceasing stream of thoughts about what had gone wrong, where I had made a mistake, why I had not noticed all the signs that foretold this catastrophe. Sometimes I wondered, were these small details merely the product of my imagination? Perhaps I loved too deeply to see reality for what it was. Yet the truth, cruel and relentless, continued to seep into my consciousness, forcing me to experience each moment as though it were my last breath of life. At dawn, when the first timid rays of sunlight broke through heavy clouds, reality once again asserted itself. My husband, like a faceless spectre, left our home with a suitcase, not even taking a gentle touch of my shoulder by the refrigerator. In the freezer, covered with frost, lay an untouched cake with cream writing 20 years, a symbol of our union, now transformed into a silent tribute to a bygone era when everything was possible, when love seemed endless. The electricity, cut off for non-payment, seemed to mirror the emptiness that had now settled in our home, leaving behind only the cold and bitterness of lost dread. I was left alone, surrounded by the shadows of the past and echoes of lost faith, trying to understand how to go on, how to find the strength to move forward despite a shattered heart and the remnants of illusions. Every minute of solitude became an endless stream of questions. Why me? Why couldn't our love withstand the storm of betrayal? In those moments, I heard that inner voice, one that, despite the pain, quietly insisted, "You are strong. You can find the light even in the darkest depths of hell." I sat in the darkness, hugging myself, trying to feel even a trace of warmth in a cold world where every detail screamed of betrayal, where even the walls seemed to whisper tales of loss. The first days after that fateful night were a test of endurance. Every room, every sound, every memory echoed with the shattering of dreams and the pain born from betrayal. I tried to relearn how to live, as if forced to rebuild my soul piece by piece, gathering the fragments of my past in the hope of creating something new, solid, and true. In the quiet hours of the night, as the city slept, I wrote down my thoughts, trying to understand where the truth lay and whether there remained even the tiniest spark within my heart capable of dispelling the cold of loneliness. Sometimes I asked myself, can I forgive him? Or is forgiveness merely a pretense, an attempt to drown out the pain? These questions tormented me, and the answers seemed as uncertain as a future filled with unknowns. Then, on one of those days when the rain tapped slowly against the windows and the world outside was shrouded in grey clouds, I sat by the window with a cup of cold tea and suddenly felt a quiet, unwavering resolve stirring within me. I recalled all the moments when I had laughed, when I had dreamed, when I believed that our union was a gift of fate. And in that instant, I understood. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. Forgiveness is a choice, an intentional decision to move forward, not allowing pain to dictate my future. Deep in my soul, I found a strength that whispered, "You deserve better. You can embrace a new life filled with light and love, even if the past has left deep scars." Those words became the guiding thread that helped me gather the shattered pieces of myself and build a new world. A world where every wound was a lesson and every loss an opportunity for rebirth. I began spending time with myself, devoting long hours in silence, listening to my own breath, allowing tears to wash away the remnants of old passions and grievances. My inner dialogues became akin to prayer, reassuring me that pain is temporary and that the light at the end of the tunnel is inevitable. I started noticing the smallest signs, the smile of a stranger on the street, the warmth of the sun's rays dancing on the faces of passers-by. Even the sound of raindrops served as a reminder that life goes on despite everything. Each new day brought small victories, a chance to smile when it seemed the world could no longer bring joy, a chance to believe in myself when emptiness reigned. Gradually, through long months of struggle and self-reflection, I began to accept the fate that had brought me together with this man who once meant everything to me. I learned not to blame myself for every missed detail, for every overlooked hint, because love is not always about logic. It is often about the wild trust and belief in a brighter future. In moments when the memory of the affair would surface, pain would surge through me, yet I knew by then every wound is part of my journey, every loss an opportunity to discover new horizons within myself. I started surrounding myself with people who understood me without words, who learned to find joy in the little things and helped me see beauty even in the darkest corners of my soul. And now, as time has passed to the point where I can no longer remember when I ceased to be that naive woman who dreamed of eternal love, I realized that everything that happened was not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter. The years spent in the chains of betrayal taught me to cherish genuine moments, to learn to love myself before giving my love to another. I began writing, sharing my experiences, hoping that my story might help those on the brink of despair find the strength to rise, to forgive, and to move on. With every page, I gained more confidence that even after the darkest night, dawn eventually breaks, and every tear that falls transforms into the dew that nurtures new dreams. I want to tell you, my dear ones, that even if life throws the most brutal challenges our way, you should never give up. Within each of us lies the strength to overcome pain. In every heart, a spark awaits to ignite the flame of hope. Forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, but an act of the highest wisdom, one that restores inner peace and opens the door to a new life. It was at that moment that I decided to forgive, not for his sake, but for mine, so that I would never again allow pain to obscure the light within me. I chose the path of healing, a path where every wound became a step toward newfound freedom, every fall a lesson that made me stronger. Now, as I look back on the journey of my life, a path strewn with the thorns of pain, yet leading to a remarkable transformation, I realize that I have learned to cherish the moments of silence, when the heart slowly begins to mend, when every breath fills with new dreams and hope for a brighter future. And although the pain of betrayal will always remain with me, I no longer allow it to define who I am. I have become different, strong, wise, and capable of loving again, undeterred by past grievances. Dear listeners, I am sincerely grateful that you have been with me through this difficult time, for every word of support and understanding, for the warm energy you shared with me, even when you did not know the full extent of my pain. May my story serve as a reminder. Even in the deepest darkness, there is always a ray of light. Even after the most harrowing betrayal, there comes a time when the soul begins to bloom again. I promise you that my journey is far from over, that ahead lie new encounters, new dreams, and perhaps a new love. A love born from the ashes of old hurts, a love capable of healing and offering hope. This is only the beginning of my tale, and I know there are still so many secrets, memories, moments of pain, and of course, instances when the heart fills with trembling joy at the realization that life goes on, that every minute is a chance to rediscover oneself. With every breath, I feel the strength that, despite all the trials, beckons me toward a new beginning, toward the quest for my true self, toward a love that knows no deceit or betrayal. As I try to gather myself once more, every step I take is filled with both fear and determination. I have had to face myself in the mirror, asking, who am I now? Can I forgive and trust again? The answer was not to be found outside, but deep within me, in the depths of my soul, where, despite the wounds, a small spark of light quietly promised rebirth. Each new day became a battle for my heart, a fight for its freedom from the weight of memories, yet also a day of small victories as I relearned to smile, as every encounter with nature, every glimpse of the morning sun offered me hope for a better future. I remember once, wandering through the deserted alleys of an old city, I heard a stranger's voice say to me, "In every storm there is a moment of silence, and it is in that silence that a true beginning is born." Those words became a revelation for me, a gentle reminder that even if life shatters our dreams, it gives us the chance to rebuild them anew with fresh strength and wisdom. That is when I began to learn to forgive not only the one who betrayed me, but also fate itself. The fate that led me to this moment, when I understood that the strength of the soul is measured not by the absence of pain, but by its ability to rise after every fall. Today, I can say that the past months have been a time of profound reflection, a period when every trial, every tear, every beat of my heart has become a brick in the foundation of my new self. I no longer seek solace in the eyes of others. I have found it within, in those quiet corners of my soul where belief in miracles is born. And although the scars of betrayal still remain, they remind me of how I have walked through fire. And now, as I stand once again on the threshold of a new life, I feel that everything that happened has led me to this moment, to a new love, a love for myself, for life, for every new day. Today, as I stand on the brink of this new life, looking back on a path strewn with pain, betrayal, and yet an incredible rebirth, I feel the last echoes of that fateful night gradually dissolving in the light of a new dawn. I remember how it all began. I returned home early, with an expensive bottle of wine in my hands, hoping to create an evening full of romance and warmth, only to be met with a silent spectacle of betrayal. Bodies sprawled on the sheets, the cold, steely gaze of my husband frozen in the moment of infidelity, and two alien silhouettes etched into the very nightmare of my existence. The shattered wine, clinking against the parquet, seemed to awaken the pain in every cell of my body, and the scent of unfamiliar perfume reminded me that the illusions I had so long cherished had now turned to dust. In that moment, I felt the world crumbling around me, my heart tearing apart under the relentless weight of betrayal. And within me arose a quiet yet determined voice. "You are strong. You will survive." And it was that voice that became my guide through the darkest hours, days and nights filled with solitude and endless questions. Why didn't I notice the signs? How could such a merciless affair occur? Gradually gave way to a quiet acceptance and the realization that every bit of pain, every shattered piece of my heart, carried within it the seeds of a new beginning. I began to meet with myself, to converse in anandas, listening to the whisper of the wind, a voice of the universe that both comforted and inspired me. In these quiet conversations, I learned to forgive, not to forget, but to free myself. Forgiveness became the act through which I released the weight of resentment and allowed myself to believe in the light again, in the love that is born within each of us. With every day, as the first rays of morning sunlight filtered through my window curtains, I felt the old wounds slowly healing, the pain that once crushed my soul transforming into wisdom and strength. I started to notice joy in the smallest details, in a stranger's quiet smile, in the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, in the gentle rustling of raindrops washing away remnants of the past. The inner dialogue that once roared with cries of pain and accusations now became a calm reminder that I deserve happiness, that my life can be filled with new dreams if I allow my heart to open once more. I learned to let go, to love myself, becoming the fortress of my inner world, where even the deepest wounds began to heal through the power of forgiveness. In those moments when every breath seemed laden with the weight of loss, I found within me that spark that whispered, "You are capable of soaring higher than you ever dreamed." And so, after long months of inner struggle, I realized that the trials I endured did not make me weaker. On the contrary, they gave me wings for a new flight. The past no longer shackles me. It is the foundation upon which I build my new reality, a reality filled with light, kindness, and love that begins with myself. Every beat of my heart now reminds me that life goes on, that after the darkest night comes dawn, and that every tear can transform into a pearl of wisdom. I learned to see in pain not only destruction, but also the opportunity for growth, and in betrayal, a lesson that helps me cherish every moment of happiness that life offers. Today, I am free from the chains of the past, from guilt, and free from the endless questions to which I no longer seek answers because I have found them within myself. I have discovered that true strength lies in the ability to forgive, in the capacity to love despite everything, and in the belief that every trial prepares us for something greater. Now, as I look back with gratitude on those dark days, I know that it was they that led me to this moment, to renewal, to freedom, to the beginning of a new chapter where I become the source of light and warmth for myself and those around me. May my story, born of pain and betrayal, serve as a reminder to anyone on the brink of despair. Even when everything seems lost, there is always a chance to rise, to forgive, and to find the strength for a new beginning. Thank you for being with me on this difficult journey, for every word of support, every genuine smile, and the energy that helped me believe in miracles. Today, with my head held high and my heart shining, I look to the future, knowing that true happiness starts with loving yourself, with finding joy in every day, and with the faith that light always conquers darkness. This final chapter of my story is not an end, but a farewell to the past, and a triumphant welcome to a new radiant world where every loss transforms into a gift, and every pain becomes an opportunity for rebirth.